You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the...
Good morning. Caught me getting my last little drink here before we get started. Good morning. Welcome to our Monday morning meeting where we are here to let's make sure we have our mind right for the week. We want to make sure we're getting started on the right foot, so to speak, this morning. So thank you for joining me. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend. Look, today's topic is something I get a lot of questions about, especially this time of year. Folks who have joined my coaching program, really walking them through how to maximize their time during their annual review. But the annual review process itself, we tend to go into it with a lot of trepidation. We tend to go into it with a lot of, well, I don't know what I'm going to say, and should I have a plan, and what's my boss going to say? And there tends just to be quite a bit of angst around an annual review or a performance review or whatever you are calling it. So let's talk about how to impress your... Good morning, Eileen. Thank you for joining. I'm going to come back to the comments in just a second. But this morning, we're going to talk about how to impress your boss during your performance review, because we want to remove the angst and actually help you have a plan for what you're going to say and how, more importantly, how you're going to say it. But if you don't know me, if you're new to my videos, I'm Cicely Simpson. You can kind of consider me your career strategist. I've spent 25 plus years in business and politics in the legal field, and now I'm teaching you the insider tips and secrets that's going to help you accelerate your career growth and, quite frankly, change the trajectory of your career. You can check out more about my coaching programs and my new book that's coming out actually in, oh my gosh, 3 weeks on my website there on the screen. So check that out. There's a form on there to contact me. Feel free. I do want to go back, though, this morning and spend our time on how to impress your boss during your performance review. There are 3 phrases you should use, and you should actually just really make them part of your vocabulary. Everyday vocabulary. That's what I'm coaching my clients in our Monday night calls and our Thursday night calls is the performance review is one moment in time, but when you actually know what you bring to the table and you start to articulate why you're different, what are your differentiators, why you have value to add, then that's how you start to change the conversation and show up differently, not only for yourself, but in your career. And it's why point number 1, the first phrase you should use is your value. Your value is what you have to offer your audience. Now, your value is also what you offer that no one else can. So I often go through this with my clients. Like I say, we're going through this right now on our Monday night coaching calls, and people tend to just give very generic answers. I'm organized. I'm a decisive leader. Maybe you have strategic vision. But the question you have to answer about your value is, why is it unique to you? Why the value you offer, how does it differentiate you from others? And then what is the benefit, the why and the how? What is the benefit that your audience is getting from that value? So that's how you start to really articulate what you bring to the table, and the value you offer. It is a phrase that I have used so powerfully throughout my career. It's a number of points that I perfected over time. And so, even now, as an entrepreneur where I represent clients, I have to constantly articulate my value that I bring to the table and why they want to hire me versus someone else. So, your value should absolutely become part of your everyday vernacular, but certainly is something you should talk about in your annual review. It is the first phrase you want to talk about because it is your highest and best what you have to offer to your boss, to the organization, to the team, to the company, even to your individual role. So the first is your value. That's the first phrase you want to start to really work into your performance review. The second phrase, this one surprises people, your contributions, and quite frankly, your accomplishments as well. They're interchangeable. I'm just going through them in this order, but you can start with accomplishments. You can start with contributions. You can start with value. The idea here is to give you the powerful vocabulary you need to make an impression on your boss or your supervisor, whichever way you want to use these three. So your contributions is a second phrase you should really make part of your vocabulary, but also talk about what you contributed over the past year. Look, I have a phrase that people say is very harsh, but it's very true. Hope is not a strategy. If you are sitting there waiting and thinking and hoping your boss knows what you contributed over the past year, you could not be more wrong. Everyone around you is busy. Even now, if you have not returned to the office, sometimes those contributions that you offer may not be seen, they may not be known. It is up to you to talk about the contributions you've made since your last performance review. Those contributions can range, again, anything from a project that you've led, anything from a meeting that you've been into and you've helped guide strategically. The outcome of that, your contributions are so unique to you that you absolutely want to articulate those as your second phrase in your performance review. The third phrase that you want to talk about are your accomplishments. What have you tangibly accomplished in the last year or since your last annual review? Your accomplishments can be you successfully achieved X. I know for me, every year I would track my accomplishments. I would actually track them from week to week, month to month, and then quarter to quarter, so that anytime I was in a conversation and I needed to just rattle off my value, my contributions, my accomplishments, I knew them. So you can track these things starting going forward now, but for now, write down at least 2 to 3 accomplishments that you've had over the past year. Your value is the first phrase you want to work into the conversation. The second phrase, your contribution. The third phrase, your accomplishments. And again, we're talking about your annual review process this morning, but as you get comfortable, and as I'm coaching my clients right now, as you get comfortable with this language, it does become part of your everyday vocabulary and vernacular, and that's when the power starts to shine. But for now, because you may be hearing this for the first time and may not have seen other videos or some of my social media posts, and let's start with just the annual review and use these 3 phrases as you begin to prepare for what you are going to say during that review. Now, I know we have a couple of people joining us this morning. I can see a couple of comments here on the screen, so let me address those. Eileen's here this morning. Eileen, good morning. Chris, this is a great topic. Thank you, Chris, for joining. I'm glad this is a topic you're enjoying. Eileen, great start to the week. Thank you, Eileen. I always appreciate you joining. And actually, Chris and Eileen, I actually want to point something out that came out yesterday. And I know Chris and Eileen have multiple businesses they work with, employees, different people they work with. So their presence here is reminding me of a point that someone made yesterday to me. I posted on social media, hey, join me every Monday morning at 9:30, and here's our topic for today. And someone wrote back and said, I'm so glad I don't have to do reviews anymore. I now own my own business. And if you're a leader, if you're a team leader, if you're CEO or C-suite, whomever you may be, a manager watching this video, you not only can use your value, your contributions, your accomplishments to articulate what you bring to the table, but these are powerful points to coach your team members around as well. Help them understand how to show up better if they're not showing up and giving their best version of themselves. So, if you're someone who owns your own business, this applies to you. And listen, I have business owners in my program. This applies to you in terms of how you articulate your value, your contributions, your accomplishments to your employees, to your customers. It applies very much across the board, whether you're an entrepreneur and you have your own company or you're someone who is part of a larger organization. You can't understate, I can't understate the value of these comments, these three simple phrases that help you stand out from the rest. I am getting a comment on LinkedIn. Are there any specific accomplishments that we should focus on? Thank you. That is a great question. Yes. The specific accomplishments that you want to focus on, I'm just looking down to make sure I got the wording correct. The specific accomplishments you want to focus on are, so think top down. Let's put it that way. Think company level, team level, then your individual role. Okay. So what accomplishments have you done at the company level? Or again, if you're a business owner, what have you done for your employees and customers? So go big, start broad. Any accomplishments that have helped the bottom line of the company, that have moved the company forward. If your company has goals, how have you contributed to reaching those goals for the company? Start big, start broad, and then come down to, from your company, broad goals, there should be your team goals. What accomplishments have you made that has moved your team goals forward? What have you accomplished that made sure your team reached their goals? And then come down one more level to individual accomplishments. What accomplishments have you reached both in your individual role, but also perhaps with your peers? And again, if you have a team that you manage, then with your team as well. So the idea here, and you see this construct a lot in goal setting and large public companies, there's the company goals, there are your team goals, there are your individual goals. And that's how those things tend to roll up, but also roll down in terms of goal setting for a calendar year, a fiscal year, especially if you're a public company. So your accomplishments can very much follow that same construct. What have you accomplished for the company? What have you accomplished for your team? What have you accomplished in your individual role? I hope that's helpful. Got another comment coming in. Oh gosh, this is so useful for so many. Thank you for making it so clear. Thank you, Dominique, for joining this morning. It is clear once you say it, but for those who have come to me and said, there's just a lot of angst around the annual review process. But the biggest thing you can take away from this video this morning, have a plan. Do not walk in and wing your annual performance review. I could tell you stories of how I winged it and it didn't go well, and how I went in prepared. And as I started using these three phrases about my value, my contributions, and my accomplishments, then that very much changes the dynamic of the conversation, but the value of the conversation as well. I see we have Christopher. Morning. Can you talk to the importance of that to creating a purpose for the team rather than just a job? Absolutely. So I just want to make sure, creating a purpose for the team rather than just a job. 100%. So, and look, part of sort of the coaching that I do is people come at this as just a job. But when you start talking about your purpose, and Chris is getting to a good point in his comments this morning, then when you start getting to the purpose versus actually just a job, then what you want to do, or at least perhaps one idea to think about, is you want to really start to separate the job responsibilities from the person and the team. This becomes a very individualized conversation, but also helps them see the purpose of the larger goal. So in a team setting, people come at this typically especially when you ask the value they bring to the table, it's what they do in their job. But when you're looking to create purpose, take the job responsibilities out of the conversation, and then you say, what do you bring to this team as a person? You start to talk about their personal value, what they have to offer. And as you do that, I would suggest maybe in one-on-one conversations, that's how you then start to take this to a team that is a purpose-driven team, a mission-driven team, a mission-inspired team. But to do it on a group basis, I've never found that it worked well. And I also find that if people can hide behind their jobs, they're never going to get to that purpose piece. They're never going to bring their full self to the team because they can say, well, that's just my job. And so separate the job. I sort of always say pull them apart. Pull apart the job from the team members you're talking to and start to have those one-on-one conversations. And in those, you will find your vocabulary and the words you want to use in terms of the purpose, but it's important to have a individualized value driven conversation to purpose for the team versus a job responsibility driven conversation for the team. So Eileen, thank you. Incredibly helpful information. Yes. Have a plan on everything. Absolutely. Preparation and practice. You guys know the 4 Ps that John Wooden used to use. Very incredibly successful basketball coach. So, all right. I am looking for any more comments that are coming in this morning. Listen, thank you all for the comments. I greatly appreciate the value of the dialogue here. And look, just because I end these meetings or in these videos on Monday mornings, reach out to me on LinkedIn Messenger or Facebook Messenger, or again, on my website, there's a contact form. Some of the questions and some of the dialogue here really you can take to a deeper level. That's the coaching that I, give my clients on Monday nights and Thursday nights, is we really just go a level deeper, and we also make this a very tailored experience to people who are, and look, we're just now talking about value, contributions, and accomplishments. So we're stepping through the exact same practices and helping people put together their value statements, their contribution statements, and tonight we're tackling their accomplishments. What statements, what vocabulary to use, what language to use around their accomplishments. So I'm giving you the 3 phrases this morning that you should use. These are the 3 on the screen. Write these down. You should use these to impress your boss in your performance review. And look, what really strikes me about talking about the value, your contributions, and your accomplishments, and I've heard this from so many clients that I'm coaching right now, it starts to help them raise their confidence because now they have the vocabulary to articulate not only to their boss or their company or their team, but they also see the value in themselves. And there's nothing more powerful than someone coming to you and saying, this is amazing. I have so much confidence now. I wasn't sure. That is the value of really digging into this on an individual basis and working with you to identify the value, contributions, and accomplishments that you have to offer. So use these 3 phrases. I promise you it will not only change the way you view yourself, it'll change the way your boss and others engage with you as well. One more comment coming in from LinkedIn. I love that. What statement and vocabulary you should use. Yeah, look, it's hard to do it in a video format here this morning, but look, as we dig into this on our Monday night coaching program, we actually put together the value statement. So let's put together those statements. Let's, people give me their values in the chat and we work through them in real time so that you walk away from that Monday night call and you've got your value statements, your 3 to 5 value statements. You now have your contributions. And tonight we're going to work on how we talk about our accomplishments. So you're exactly right. I love that. Thank you for that comment. It is about the statement, but it's more importantly about giving you the language that you use that feels comfortable to you. You can't use Cicely's words because my words feel comfortable to me, but not to you. So how do we help you put this in a phrase, in a language, in words that still stays true to the value, contributions, and accomplishments, but are your words and helps you easily articulate those? So I love that comment. Yes, it's all about giving you the practical application. Look, a lot of people will tell you the theory behind some of this stuff and how to be a great leader, a great team member, but it really is the practical application, what you do every day, how you do it, how this shows up in your career that makes the true difference. So I don't see any more comments coming in. Listen, thank you for joining me this morning. Feel free to put more comments below. I'll answer them throughout the week. I will see you back here on Thursday morning at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 6:30 Pacific time. Until then, work on those phrases, your value, your contributions, and your accomplishments. Have a great day. I don't want to end without saying have a great day. And I will see you back here on Thursday.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light.